Hi, it's Keith from ProTutor, and we're working on an algebra word problem with an accounting application. And in this case, it's actually an accounting problem in which we're going to have to do some algebra because there will be some accounting principles involved in this one. But there is some algebra as well that we'll need to be able to use to get our answer. So in this problem, it's a balance statement, balance sheet problem from beginning to end and how it's changing, and they're going to give us certain information about the change in assets and liabilities, and ultimately we want to know how it's going to impact the owner's equity in the end. So without further ado, at the beginning of the year, Smith Company's assets equal 240,000. During the year, liabilities increased by 20,000, and at year-end, liabilities equal 120,000. Assets decrease 30,000 during the year, and we're asked to find what are the beginning and ending amounts of equity. Did the equity grow or shrink? Will the owners likely be happy with Smith Company's performance this year? Okay, so let's, I highlighted here the assets, and we can actually go ahead and also highlight when we're the liabilities here and liabilities here. Because really the key is going to be just making sure that we keep everything straight. Now, the best way, the setup here is key, and whenever you set up a balance sheet problem, what you've got is we've got it's for a point in time, and what we're going to do is we're going to put beginning year, and our assets, liabilities, and equity. We're going to show that that is our balance sheet. And then we're going to do the same thing over here, end of year. And we've got our assets, liabilities, and equity. Okay. Now, what we're told is our assets equal 240,000 at the beginning of the year. Okay, that's great. They just flat out told us what the assets are. So I'm going to put down 240, and everything's going to be in thousands here. I'm just going to put down 240. During the year, the liabilities increase by 20,000, and at year end, liabilities equal 120,000. Okay. So at year end, liabilities equal 120,000. So I'm going to put 120,000 over here, just 120. And liabilities increase by 20 over the year. So what that means is that from here to here, we're going to get an increase by 20. So I'm going to put by 20 here and put a big circle around that. Now the assets decrease 30,000 during the year. So that means that our assets from here to here are going to decrease by 30,000. So I'm going to put a minus 30 here. Okay. What are the beginning and ending amounts of equity? Okay, so we've got all the information from that the problem has given us, and from here now we need to calculate. So we know that we're starting off with 240,000. It's going to decrease over the year to 30, and so our assets at the end of the year is going to be what. So, and that's where our first equation is going to come in. So for assets, let's just put it over here. We have 240 minus 30, and that's going to be equal to x, or assets. And that one's pretty straightforward. That's just going to be 240 minus 30 is 210. Which means that our assets at the end of year will be 210. Now, for liabilities, we have over here our unknown is what the beginning of the year was. So that's going to be our x plus 20, because we know that the liabilities increased by 20 right here, and we know at year end it's going to be 120. So to solve this, then we subtract 20 from each side, and then the 20s cancel there. X equals 100, and that's our liabilities at the beginning of the year. Okay, now starting off with the beginning year assets and liability, we can now calculate equity, because that's going to just be assets equals liabilities plus equity. We have assets and liability. Our unknown is equity, so we can just put an x here for equity. We know it's 100. Assets are 240. And to solve for x, once again, we subtract 100. And 140 is equal to x. So our equity at the beginning of the year was 140. Now, what's our equity over here? Same formula. This time we're going to do end of year. So we have, once again, same formula. Assets this time are 210 equals liabilities is 120 plus x as our equity there. Subtract 120 from each side. 90 equals x. So the owner's equity is 90. Now we might be interested in knowing what kind of change in owner's equity is that, and that we get that from just 140 minus 90, or 140 plus x. So to get the change in owner's equity is just 140 plus x equals 90. We're asking how much did this change from the beginning to the end, and we just subtract 140 from each side, and x equals minus 50. So owner's equity decreased by 50. So in this case, what are the beginning and end amounts of equity? We have them, 140, 90. Got that one? Did the equity grow or shrink? It shrunk by 50. And will the owners likely be happy with Smith Company's performance this year? And the answer is no, because their equity is now valued at 50,000 less from the beginning of the year. So they started off with 140, they lost 50,000 in equity over the year. So the owners are likely to be unhappy with the performance, and that's our final answer there. And as always, if you have any other questions or we can clarify in any way, please let us know. This has been Keith from ProTutor. Thanks for watching.